Michael Nugent is chair of Atheist Ireland, and he will talk about the problems that we have in the Irish education system. But before that, I'd like to read to you Rule 68 of the Rules for National Schools. This is a rule that is part of every school, primary school in Ireland, and the Forum has asked for it to be deleted, and that's not going to happen, and this government is not going to remove it. Of all parts of the school curriculum, religious instruction is by far the most important. As its subject matter, God's honour and service includes the proper use of all man's faculties and affords the most powerful inducements to their proper use. Religious instruction is therefore a fundamental part of the school course, and a religious spirit should inform and vivify the whole work of the school. That's Rule 68 of the Rules for National Schools, and they're not going to remove it in 2015. Michael, come up and say a few words.
Michael, could you go over to me?
Sorry? Yeah.
Oh, have you got the...
Yeah, this here.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Right. First of all, thank you very much to Lalandra and Darren for that talk. I mean, we're living in different jurisdictions, and the problems may seem to be different, but what is common to both is that the way that religion maintains its control over society is very interlaced with their involvement in the education system. Because when you can get children before they reach the age of reason and indoctrinate them with not only the particular beliefs, but the idea that it is a good thing to believe things on the basis of faith. The idea that it's a good thing to believe things either because you want to believe them or because you're afraid to not believe them, disproportionately to the best available evidence, is in itself harmful, regardless of whether it manifests itself in evangelical Protestantism or fundamentalist Catholicism or Islam or any other version of religion. Religion is the manifestation of the problem. The underlying problem is teaching children that it is a good thing to believe things on the basis of faith. In Ireland, not only do we have that problem, but we have it enshrined in law. Aaron and Lalandra are living in a country where at least they have formal separation of church and state, and the task is to fight to maintain that or to manifest it against these often successful attempts to undermine it. Here we don't even have it. Here the situation is so bad that when Atheist Ireland recently met the Taoiseach and the Minister for Education, and we brought with us to that meeting a parent and a teacher and a student to tell the Taoiseach and the Minister for Education firsthand the discrimination that they face in the education system. The teacher and the student had to go there anonymously and had to step out of the photograph, the group photograph of our delegation meeting the Taoiseach and the Minister for Education, because they were concerned that if it was known that they had met with the Taoiseach and with the Minister for Education, that they would face further discrimination in their schools. And even if the Taoiseach, who in theory and the Minister for Education would be the best placed people to prevent that discrimination from taking place, even if they wanted to assure them that they could help with that discrimination, they couldn't, because the law gives the Catholic Church and other churches, but primarily the Catholic Church in practice, exemptions from our equality laws that allow them to discriminate on the grounds of religion, that allow them to, in a way that nobody else is allowed to, where our equality laws in terms of the Equal Status Act and the Employment Equality Acts have specific exemptions that allow religious schools and hospitals and training colleges to discriminate on the grounds of religion, and it doesn't count as discrimination. They have, for example, they have various euphemisms for it in the current bill that is attempting on the face of it to bring about equality in admissions to schools. The Admissions to Schools Bill, and the bill says that it's aimed at preventing discrimination in admission to schools on all of the grounds in the Equal Status Act in terms of gender or sexuality or religion, etc. It has a marvellous euphemism in it, which is apart from lawful oversubscription criteria. And by lawful oversubscription criteria, they mean that religious schools are allowed to fill the schools, first of all, with the children of Catholic parents, who they call Category 1 children, and only if there are places left over at the end of that are children of parents of other religions or of no religion given even an option to get into the school. And if you do get into the school, you have you theoretically have a constitutional right to opt out of the formal religious instruction, but they'll make it very difficult for you to do it. They'll say you have to come down and collect your child from the school and bring them out and bring them back while it's going on. And even if you do that, they still integrate religion throughout the rest of the day. The rule that Jane was pointing out, Rule 68, it's actually in the rules for our national schools that religion has to vivify the entire school day. So even if you opt your child out of the formal religious instruction classes, they'll still be taught in nature study that God created the birds and the bees. They'll be singing hymns during music class. They'll be drawing Jesus during art class. We've even got examples of spelling books. You know, that the words that children are asked to learn how to spell are Saviour and various other religious terminology. So that's the task that we're facing. It's the most important, the most fundamental of Atheist Ireland's policies. We campaign for a secular constitution. We campaign for secular laws in a range of areas. But in the long term, the only way that we're going to undermine the control that the Catholic Church has had for decades over Ireland is by removing their influence from the education system. And we do have, fortunately, a population, certainly in the urban areas, that have moved on. We don't have the same Catholic country that we used to have. Ireland used to be a Catholic state. Ireland is now a pluralist state, but with Catholic laws. And what we need to do is get the government to catch up with the people and to change the laws to make them reflect the reality of Ireland today, and to make them reflect the basic fundamental human rights. We do a lot of our campaigning at the United Nations Human Rights Committee and the OSCE in terms of pointing out to Ireland, and we have had it now pointed out to Ireland repeatedly by the United Nations Human Rights Committee, that the way they run the education system is breaching fundamental human rights of atheists and indeed minority religious families. It's breaching the right to equality before the law, it's breaching the right to freedom of conscience, it's breaching the right to private and family life, it's breaching the right to freedom from discrimination. There are a range of very fundamental human rights. And bear in mind, we're not talking here about lofty aspirations. We're talking about the rock bottom minimum foundation that we should be expecting as the starting point for then building an ethical, secular society that's built on compassion and empathy and cooperation and reciprocity and fairness and justice and everything that entails from that. But we're not even at that stage, because we're at the stage of still having to campaign for our fundamental human rights that should be the foundation of that system. So I would urge anybody here who, certainly if you have children that are either about to or are in the education system, do get in touch with us, and we will do our best to help in terms of challenging within the existing structures and any discrimination that you face. But ultimately what we do need is people to get involved with us in the ongoing political lobbying to have those rules changed and to have the system reflecting the type of society that we should be. And one of the dangers is of the rapidity with which some people, certainly in the urban areas of Ireland, have moved on from the old Catholic Ireland, is that a lot of people have just skipped over the phase of trying to change the laws and just, well, we just ignore the church and we just get on with our own lives. You know, and that's fine for a while, but then when you have children and you're trying to get your children through the education system, you're suddenly faced with it as a problem. And then at that stage, for individual parents, your priority is likely to be getting your particular child through the education system with the least amount of trouble for them, rather than getting involved in political lobbying or legal cases that are going to disrupt your child's education. So we really need a united front of everybody that does realise that this is wrong to get actively involved in political lobbying, and particularly we've an election coming up here at some stage within the next year, particularly, you know, letting the politicians know that we want a secular education system, and letting them know that a secular education system is not the same as an atheist education system. We would be as opposed to an education system that promotes the idea that there is no God, as we are to an education system that promotes the idea that there is a God. But these type of beliefs about the nature of the universe and philosophical beliefs like that should be private beliefs for individuals to believe whatever they want to believe, but they should not be imposed through the education system. The education system should teach about different religions and beliefs, about what different people believe, but should not promote any particular version of philosophical metaphysics as being factually true. They should be teaching children to follow the evidence, using reason and applying reason to the best available evidence, and to come to whatever conclusions that leads them to. I'm going to finish off with just a couple of quick comments on what we're doing generally within Atheist Ireland. As I said, one of the things that we have been campaigning for is an ethical and secular society that is based on the type of principles of compassion and empathy and fairness and respecting people, and robustly challenging ideas but respecting individual people. One of the areas that's quite difficult to do, unfortunately, is on the internet, where there can be a lot of hateful and hurtful and violent and unjust rhetoric. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to create a more civil space online, where people can discuss things on our internet spaces in a way that we will robustly challenge ideas, but that we will be respectful of the people who hold those ideas. Now, it's a difficult balance because of the nature of the internet. Aaron was saying earlier on about, you know, this. Somebody was talking about we have to stand up to the experts. There was somebody, a Fianna Fáil politician back in the 1990s, gave what I think is my favourite quote about the internet, said that the internet must be stopped. Now, I think it's unlikely that we're going to stop the internet, but I do think that we can make it a more respectful space within the parts of the internet that we control, and we can try to encourage civil discourse and robustly challenging ideas while respecting the individual people who hold those ideas. The phrase that we've used at the United Nations in terms of that particular human rights issue is you have rights, your beliefs do not. We can robustly challenge and even ridicule the ideas that people hold, but we should try to do so in such a way that respects the individuals who, however firmly they may hold the beliefs, and however mistakenly they may hold beliefs, we should try to respect them as individuals. The final two things I want to say is just a little bit of homework during the Q&A. When we're finished this session tonight, we're going to be doing a short video at the end. If anybody wants to take part in this, you're more than welcome to. If you don't want to, there's no pressure. This Thursday is International Openly Secular Day, and Atheist Ireland will be publishing a video on our YouTube channel on Thursday that it'll just be a series of people just saying one or two sentences each, saying my name is such and such and I'm openly secular because, and then the reason why you think it's important to have separation of church and state. And we've already recorded some vox pops at our Secular Sunday brunches. Hopefully, if anybody wants to take part in it, we can do it afterwards tonight. We just have the camera here. If anybody feels like taking part in that video, all you have to do is say, my name is, whatever your name is, and I'm openly secular because, and then just whatever for you personally is the most important reason why you think that we need separation of church and state in Ireland. At the very end then, Aisling, you'll say a few words about what we're doing in the Dublin area and some other upcoming projects. But what we'll do now is go back to Jane and we'll do a Q&A session. Okay, thank you very much.